Okay, Rocky, you got it all figured out now, do you? And your buddy, your assistant, actually you're here, the main leader, Putin. You guys got it all figured out? We're going to show these waves now, right? You good with that, buddy? Alright, Sadak. Okay, I'm going to go over some of the waveforms on this scope just to clear some things up. And I'm not going to actually tell people what to do, but I'm just going to show you what's going to happen when we try some different things. And I'm going to tell you right off, just look at the instructions on the Spooky2 website. But you can also, I guess, use simple stuff. But if you try to get complicated with really fancy settings, you're going to get in trouble. I'll just tell you that right now. But I'm just going to show you some of the simple settings. And before I get into this, I'm going to tell you again that I changed all my magnets to bio-north facing down on the DNA. Because I'm so familiar with, well, I got confused about what the hell they meant by north, because in the magnetic therapy world, north means a different thing from, let's say, the engineering world. But anyway, when they're talking about north, they're talking about negative energy, which is actually the North Pole on the, with the magnetism found on the North Pole of the geographic Earth, or in other words, called bio-north. And when they use this term like the North Pole of the magnet, right? I'm going to tell you right now, they're not saying what we think of it as, like if you're a normal person. They're talking like magnetic therapy world talk here. But anyway, what they're saying is negative, and that's the whole key. The actual magnetic field on the top of the Earth is actually negative, and that's actually magnetized south, as the engineers would call it. But since it's located on the top of the Earth, the magnetic therapy people call it biological north, and they just call it. See, this really throws it. This would throws everybody off. But anyway, all our research, without exception, indicates the need for negative energy. In other words, north polar biological north negative energy, as found in the magnetism on the North Pole of the Earth, as support for all healing processes undertaken by the biological system. This is actually coming from a rare book, The Magnetic Blueprint, from Rawls and Davis. I got all the rare books now, and it took me a while to get all the scraps. Anyway, we believe to be the law of nature for all biological systems, which should be accepted for the survival of our civilization. I guess when the polar magnets, when the poles flipped, man, a lot of crazy stuff happened many years ago when they had the dinosaurs roaming the Earth. But anyway, the North Pole of the magnet, and actually they're talking about is identified, which is actually biological north, bio-north. See, here's the key phrase: negative energy. It needs to be put to the needed area to assist in the stimulation of the system's own negative energy necessary to combat all disorders. So the most times when you're using these machines like this, you got a disorder, you got a microbe or something. So why wouldn't, my logic is, and me personally, wouldn't that mean that biological north is what you want facing your DNA to go through the scalar remote or what's going on here? Anyway, so okay, this is right off the gods and whatever hell talk about, and it goes on to say here, cancer and other ailments need to be arrested by the North Pole negative energy. And remember, when they're talking North Pole, they're not even saying biological north. They just call it North Pole, so everybody freaking thinks the other way around. Because like in the engineering world, the North Pole on a magnet is the opposite. But anyway, that's how it happened. This is how the confusion started too, amongst other things. But North Pole energy, negative energy, North Pole negative energy, that's the actual magnetism that's found on the North Pole of the Earth is negative. That's biological north, or magnetic south, as the engineers would call it, on the magnet itself. But he says cancer and other ailments can be arrested by North Pole negative energy. So I have bio-north facing down on the DNA, perhaps percentage-wise by over 90%. Now that's their claims, not my claims, but I'm reading it right off these experts, I guess. The North Pole energy can extend the lifespan of living systems by slowing down the aging process. Is that another thing you want? Anyway, so there's my logic as to why I use biological north, okay? That's why I'm totally convinced. Because I read this stuff extensively, but I was like, what the hell's going on? I didn't understand the deal, like, when they say north, I always thought that was the north magnetic field, man. It's not. It's the biological north. But anyway, I got here, we're going to do some simple waveforms, and this is like the basic. Where I got a custom wave in here called 2000. All right, I don't know what 2000 is supposed to do, but I'm just giving it as an example so we can look on scope and see what things go on. This is going to be 50% duty cycle, amplitude of 20 volts, 0% offset. Okay, I'm going to hit start. Here's the waveform. So it goes, and here's your zero line. Like if I stop, pause it. That's your zero line. Unpause it. Okay, so it's like 10 volts up, 10 volts down. That's your 20 volts point to point coming out of one channel. And I'm running the same frequency on the second channel, and you can see both LED lights are lit up the same. Okay, that's a simple. You can't get, you're pretty safe with that kind of deal as long as you're using the right frequency. Let's stop it. I'm going to tell you something else. Now, say for instance you got two remotes. Now I got one of these hooked up to the oscilloscope, and we're going to have the other, the out two is just going to be showing you on a remote with the lights. Well, you could do something like this maybe. Say for instance you want to run the Schumann Earth frequency on one remote and run like a series of set of frequencies on out one. Now I'm not just telling you, I'm not an instructor here telling you for Spooky2. I'm just saying this logically makes sense to me. Okay, but say for instance you got two remotes and one generator, and you don't have a boost cable or something, and you say you're worried about frequency fatigue, or you want to run a Schumann Earth frequency in the background. So on out 2 you could say for the frequency 0 plus 7.83 hertz. That's your Schumann Earth frequency. So when you click this on, what's going to happen is out 1 is going to be 2000, and out 2 is going to be 7.83. So you can be running two remotes. So like you can see how this is going 7.83 back and forth. You could be running like that. Say for instance if you have no boost cable and two remotes, and your other one would be running on 2000. This one would look like if this was plugged in. Instead, this is I have the wire plugged into the scope here. It would look like they're just on because it would be flickering back and forth so much. And you can see on the generator it says 2000 and 7.83. Right? Now, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to show you 100% positive offset on both channels. And I'm going to caution you, if you're running harmonics and spikes, don't be messing around with the. I'm not going to mess around with the offset. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like. Hit start. Now here's the waveform. It's 10 volts up. It doesn't make it 20 volts up. In other words, when they say 20 volts point to point on the generator, that means 10 up, 10 down. So it's going from 0 to 10. Down to 0, and that's your waveform, nice square wave. And you notice on your remote with 100% positive offset, notice which side the light flashes on. So if you don't have a scope, you can pretty much sometimes tell if you're doing it, you got the right side, you have things set up right. If you're going to, you know, if you know if this is running at 100% positive offset, you can see which light flashes on the remote. Now I just got this scope not that long ago, but I already figured out the basics on it anyway. It's good enough for what I'm going to use it for. So anyway, we're going to get on to something else here. I'm going to show you something with. I'm going to change these from to 0 again. Now I'm not going to put a boost cable on, but I'm going to show you. Say you don't have a boost cable, and you want to run the 11th harmonic. You say add 1 to F1 to F2, and you say 11. See how it changes the wave? Now, when that does that, when you say add 1 to F2, F1 to F2, this ain't going to matter. They're both going to be 2000 out of both sides. Now, I'm not running a boost cable or something, and you know, you're just gonna run 2 separate remotes or something. I mean, when you're not running a boost cable, then you're not gonna have to worry about inverse sync or whatever. But say you don't have a boost cable and you just have one remote and you want to run the inverse sync, and and run the 11th harmonic, and you just have one remote and you don't have a boost cable. Well, that works. I mean, it's not going to get. To me, it's still running the 11th harmonic. So what the hell's wrong with that, right? So here's your 11th harmonic, and actually, I think the way it works is, you know, you say you start. Here you go. 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle, 4 cycle, 5 cycle, 6 cycle, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's the 11th harmonic. So it goes up and down. And, well, I guess out 2 is still running on, I thought they would be locked, but I guess they're not. Out 2 would still run on 7.83 hertz. 7.83 hertz, and that should be running on the 11th harmonic, 7.83 hertz too. So let me see if I stop this and bring it on. You'll probably be able to tell the difference in the lights. I'm going to double check this with the scope and see what's actually coming out of out 2. I'm going to change it so, because my scope doesn't really look that great when you're looking at it. I'm going to change this to say 20, and I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a look at what's coming out of there, if it's running the harmonic or not. I'm curious now. So we shall take a look at that, and I'm going to take a look at what's actually coming out of out 2. I think it is, because that's the graphic representation, but we shall double check it. Okay, so I actually changed that to 20 hertz coming out of out 2, just to see if what's going on, if it's actually putting out a 11th harmonic. I figured it is, because the graphic representation says so, but just to double check it, yeah, it is. And you see, my scope doesn't like the low frequencies. I have to change a setting in here or something, but it gets down to really slow stuff. But anyway, so you can do, if you're doing the 11th harmonic and you add F1 to F2, that's the only way you can get it. It's going to make the outputs for both change. So you can kind of run, you know, 2 frequencies at once, in a way. Well, you could. Like, if you wanted to run 7.83 in the background or something while you're running frequency sets, a 7.83 on a second remote, no boost or nothing like that, and your out 1 is actually just going to be, you know, one of these frequency sets up here or something. I'm just using 2000 to show it. You can do it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you with the boost cable with just plain positive offset. And, well, we'll see. Okay, here's the boost cable, and I have this marked. This goes to out 1, and that was actually marked that way for out 1, figuring the original way they did the remotes with the boost cable. But well, let me point to something else now. Now, I just want to tell you, when you're using the boost cable, you always use the inverse sync. And I'm going to show you, if you don't use the inverse sync, what happens. But first, I'll show you the wave with inverse sync. Start it up, load waveforms, blah, blah, blah. Coming on. See, there it is. So you got, you know, it's going down, then up, right? So it's like adding them together. So you got 20 volts down. That's the 0 line. 20 volts up. Sweet, right? Now, I'm going to show you what happens. Say, for instance, you forget to not put inverse sync, and you say follow out, you know, and you screw that up when you're using the boost cable, and this is like the wrong way, right? I mean the wrong way, right? The wrong way to do it. If you get my meaning, how's that? What happens? That's what happens. A mess, okay? That's why you don't do it. So it's important that you use inverse sync with the boost, okay? Now, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show some simple stuff first, because let's say, actually, the way to use the boost with positive offset. Say you're just going to use the boost cable with positive offset contact mode, and you're using one of the hold the Clark frequencies that's like, you know, 395,000 hertz, you know, or 395 kilohertz. Those frequencies way the hell up there. I mean, you're not going to even feel them even if the voltage is up. If it's a low voltage, then you feel it. But you know, hold the Clark's frequencies that you list on here, they're up there pretty damn high. Like, you won't even feel it even with the higher voltage. So you can use the higher power with the contact mode, right? Now, I just got a representation of 2000 here, but let's do start this up. Now you notice I put, since out 2 is inverse, I use, it's going to flip this minus 100% around the other way. So what's going on here? So you saw it went from, you know, plus 20 volts to minus 20 volts. Now it's going from plus 20 volts to 0 to plus 20 volts to 0. So you got double the power, man. That's cool. That could come in handy, say you're using the handhelds. And I'm not sure what it's doing with the remotes, man. I am like, to be quite honest, I'm like kind of confused what's going on with the remotes. I have a certain way I'm doing it, and I'm keeping it simple, but I'm just doing this video to show people what the waveforms are. So say, for instance, you're a Hold the Clark fan, and you want to use those really high-end frequencies like 395,000 hertz, 350,000 hertz. She's got a whole big list of them, and she says positive offset. So here's where you can use the boost cable, but you got to make sure it's marked, you know, out 1. In this out 1, the way I have this marked, you know how they originally told you to do the deal with the remotes with magnetic north, not bio north, the first set of instructions on Spooky, how to set it up? Well, that's how you do it. And let me show you something here too, because I'm going to stop this, because there'll be a certain side, like this is all 100% positive offset, there'll be a certain side of this on a remote that'll light up. So if you don't have a scope and you want to check it out, I'll show you what it is. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to use positive offset with your remotes or anything like that. I don't know if that's but I'm just saying, if say for instance you're not sure if you got it right, correct, or whatever set up right, I'm going to show you that light on that side of the remote is going to be the one that's going to light up when you have 100% positive offset, correct? See? Right there. The other light is no light at all, okay? That's 100%, because it's all, that's the way the thing works. It's like, that's the positive light and that's the negative light. That's what the hell's going on, I guess, right? It's just like the scope, except now I have it connected to the remote. But say, for instance, like you want to use the contact mode for Hold the Clark stuff, and, you know, the waveform's going to look like that, right? You know, a couple square waves, a mirror image of each other backwards with inverse sync, and you got to say 100% on out 1 and minus 100% on out 2, because when you go inverse sync, it flips it around. It flips it around. So the net when it puts them together through the boost cable, they both are 100% positive offset. You can verify that with the remote. Like, say if I turn that back on again, you look at the remote, there it is. It's only the one side lighting up. Okay? Now I'm going to go for something else, because you know, I might as well. Okay, I'm going to go through the way they had it set up with the boost cable with the remote. As of a couple days ago, I don't know if it's changing or what, but this was the way they had it with. I'm gonna show you something anyway. First, I'm just going to show you what was like September 7th, 2014. By the time somebody watch this video, you got to go to the Spooky2 website, and see whatever changed, if maybe something changed. But I'm just going to show you the waveform for instructional purposes only. And they say is to use 20 volts amplitude, offset 0, 0, okay? No 100%. You're going to say like 11 over here. Like if you don't add F1 to F2, that's what you get. I mean, there's a 3. Like if you change that to 1, it changes the waveform. You get one as a 3. I'll show you what's going on in scope. Spike length of 15. If you had that as a 1, it's like totally different. Anyway, positive spikes only. Okay. So inverse sync. So just to repeat that again, 20 volts, 0% offset, E on both channels. Inverse sync. F1 equals F2. 11 is the multiplier for the 11th harmonic. Add F1 to F2. No, just positive spikes. Spike count of 1. The wave multiplier is 3, and spike length ratio is 15. That's what it was September 7th, 2014. So we're going to click this on. Those are waveforms. You see the 0 lines right here. You'll see what's happening. So that's the spike right there. You know, and it does the wave. It goes, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's your 11 harmonics. Now I'm going to show you something with this this spike deal, just for the hell of it. You notice you see a spike here, but you don't see one here. That's, you know what, I kind of figured out what the hell they're doing with this 3. If you change that to a 1, it's like every third wave this spike is happening or something. That's what I think is going on. No. Yeah, see? So when I change that to a 1, that means the spike happens every time each wave cycle. If you change that to a 3, the spike happens every third wave cycle. But there's a reason for that. It makes sense. You know, I guess they're doing things in 3s to address microbes or odd, and 11 is another thing. That's the Hoyland sweep or the Hoyland harmonic. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you go screwing around with, let's change this back to a 3. If you go screwing around with offset, and you say 100, you know, minus 100 here, and you say, oh, I'm going to do that. You know, when you got the spike going on and the 11th harmonic and all this other stuff, I mean, if you're doing a plain simple wave, that's fine, right? If you got other stuff, it's like too many chefs getting involved in the menu here. Too many chefs getting in this soup. Man, you know, you're gonna see what the hell, what happened here, right? I don't know. You made a mess. All right, you made a mess. See what I mean? That's why. You know, I mean, if you want to stay simple, that's one thing. But if you start thinking, hey, I got a really fancy idea. Yeah, I'm just going to show you real quick before my camera battery dies. I swapped the boost cables around because that was the new instructions for the Bio North. I'm going to turn on the same thing. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, see the spikes? They go negative. That's why I decided I'm going to go simple, because I don't understand now. I'm really getting confused. All right? So if I swap the boost cables, I knew that was going to happen because I was playing around with this deal. I'm confused, man. So that's why I went simple. That's why I went simple. I'm just going to run no boost. I'm going to run like just simple square wave. I'll probably run just 100% positive offset. Well, anyway, I got a frequency counter on the way. I want to check every damn thing and see what's going on for sure, because Rocky says, check it out, man. We got to check it out, baby. Right, we will.